Well, finally, we meet again.
That was just 5 minutes ago, I think we met the first time.
No, actually, the first time we met was 17 years ago at your last Atlanta appearance at a convention on the south side of town in 1992. You remember that?
I don't remember.
Okay. Well,
yes, of course I remember.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm just nervous and insecure. Forgive me. I will calm down and hear your questions and answer them as intelligently as possible. But I'm just a little bit, wound up about being back here.
I cannot possibly imagine why you can be nervous when you have 2,000 of your most ardent fans right here. I understand that you, to be here today, you flew from your home in England to New York and then took the train from New York to Atlanta. And that was at your sister's suggestion, if I'm not mistaken.
Eric, this is going really badly. You are mistaken. You are most specifically mistaken in that I don't have a sister. I have two brothers.
Okay. Someone take notes. There will be a test later.
It was never ever like this on the Today Show. It was worse. much worse. But you are right. I came down yesterday from New York, from Penn Station, on the Crescent, and arrived here in Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't really have a railway station. The Yankees burned it. That was a long time ago. Now, when I asked about that this morning, that information was kept from me. But there's one thing to be grateful about what you just told me, because you might have said the British burnt it. Except. Oh, no, I may look slow, but the fact is there were no railroads when the British were burning things around. If there had been, believe me, we would have burned them. But I almost went on to New Orleans. Is that how you pronounce it? Does that sound like New Orleans? New Orleans! Orleans! Because I had made good friends with the attendant in my carriage, and we'd had many fascinating conversations during the 18 hours that it took from... No, I mean, that wasn't long enough. The fact is, I love trains, and I like to think of myself as a modest environmentalist, and quite frankly, flying is just less and less fun, and it's more and more stressful, and I got to read 3 days of back editions of the New York Times. I read New Yorker magazine, I watched a movie, I read chapters of my book, and but best of all, I looked out of the window and I watched, would I be right to say the Eastern Seaboard go by? Yeah. Which was for me the biggest thrill, because I have flown across this country so many hundreds of times. I've flown across this country so many times, I look out of the window, I know exactly where I am. It's true, I recognize the landscape, certainly between New York and Los Angeles. And so it was a real adventure for me, and I have to say that at this moment. I have a public service announcement I want to make for Amtrak. I don't know why that's funny, but I'm English and we have an odd sense of humor, and yours is even odder. But from the moment that I arrived at Penn and didn't know what to do or where to go, I was given polite and courteous and well-informed help, and the train left bang on time. It went through all the stations it was predicted to go through. And we arrived in what allegedly was Atlanta 35 minutes early. And I had a most... You didn't really want to hear me talk about my train. Eric, you asked the question, and so I hold you responsible for this long, rambling answer.
Well, I hope you had a very enjoyable trip, and again, welcome to Atlanta.
Thank you. Atlanta? I thought I was supposed to be in New Orleans.
New Orleans. I know you consider yourself to be primarily a stage actor, but I also think it would be safe to say that you have millions of fans around the world and a couple of thousand in this room who know you and love you most as Jean-Luc Picard. When the day eventually comes that you decide to retire, how would you like to be best known as part of your professional career?
I'd like to be best known for not having died. I always feel, you know, like Woody Allen said, you know, I know that death is inevitable, but I feel that in my case an exception might be made. I would like to think, Eric, that I have not yet done the work for which I might be best remembered. I am enjoying my job now as much, in fact more, than I have done at any time in my... This month actually is the 50th anniversary of my life as a professional actor. Had you been around, you would have seen me entering on that first night the stage of the Theatre Royal, Lincolnshire, England, playing the entirely forgettable role of Morgan, a pirate in Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. And so I've had an extraordinarily blessed career, but I hope that there are a lot of years ahead, and certainly I have a list, a secret list of work that I want to do, which will take me, I hope, well into my 80s. Not the 80s, my 80s. Although I would settle for the 80s too.
And what's at the top of that list?
Well, right at the top of it would be the next thing I hope to do, which will be a play in Chichester, where the production of Macbeth began, that I did 2 years ago. And I can't say what it is, but we are very close to confirming it. And it's something I have done before. It's a role I played 30 years ago that I have been waiting to re-perform, because I'm now old enough and perhaps a little bit more qualified to play it than I was then. But if it were all to end this evening, I mean all of it, and I had spent my last few hours here at DragonCon talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation, and maybe slipping in odd references to X-Men, but particularly to my time, I guess 12 or so years that I was Jean-Luc Picard. if it were to end tonight, and that is what I will be remembered for, I would be very content.
What do you look for, in a role? Say 5 projects come your way. What particular thing do you look for the most before you make a decision to accept the role?
You know what I'm going to do? Would you mind, gentlemen, if I stood up? Because I think there are people way at the back. It's just that you're so far back, and this is not a raked auditorium. So, if this helps. Years ago, I had a very clever and beautiful agent in London, and she said to me once, when you read a script, if you don't feel the blood coursing through your veins more intensely, toss it aside and don't think about it again. And I think that's what I wait to have happen. It's entirely a visceral response to a piece of work, and it happens to me sometimes when I just think about things. I begin to get excited and my pulse races, because I finally come to terms with the fact, the reality that what I do, sorry my children and my grandchildren and all that, but it really is my life. And it's what I do identifies who I am. What I do defines me, and I try to do all the other things in my life as well as I possibly can. But my work is everything to me. And I don't know where I'm going with this, so I'm going to show you.
I know that you are often asked what is your favorite episode from Next Generation, or which was your favorite movie, but
all the episodes that I directed are my favorite episodes.
I'd like to tell you what my 2 favorite Picard episodes are, and tell you why.